What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from the Quartering, running on fumes and coffee brand coffee, apparently. We've got part 2 of the Twitter files last night, including some new revelations. I've probably got 4 or 5 different videos today on a variety of topics. So if you haven't yet, make sure you click that red subscribe button down below. I would greatly, greatly appreciate it. Now, in part 1 of the Twitter files, we found out that, of course, there was some shenanigans, some suppression of the president's son's computer story. And in part 1.5 in the supplemental, we found out that there were still agents inside of Twitter pre-scrubbing files. In fact, a former FBI general counsel and then Twitter general counsel was in charge of letting us know if the FBI was involved in anything nefarious. We investigated ourselves and found we broke no laws. Then, in part 2 last night, we've got some absolute bombshells, including receipts and more information implicating just about everybody at Twitter. The Jack redemption arc is over. Now, I never supported him. I never thought he was anything but a terrible, terrible man, simply because he is. Let's do a quick review of the thread. Last night, Barry Weiss's Twitter thread focused mainly on about blacklisting, something that Jack denied in front of Congress, something that Twitter denied publicly in several blog posts. But I digress. A new Twitter Files investigation reveals that the team at Twitter employees built blacklists, prevent disfavored tweets from trending, and actively limited the visibility of entire accounts or even trending topics, all in secret without informing the users. Now, many people said, well, no kidding, right? Because my viewers are enlightened, beautiful, intelligent individuals who are not surprised to hear this. But you must understand that now we have lay receipts, which are pretty important. In part 2, Twitter had a mission to give everyone the power to create and share ideas and information instantly without barriers. Along the way, barriers nonetheless were erected, and immediately into the receipts. Take, for example, Stanford's Dr. J.B., who argued that koof lockdowns would harm kids. Twitter secretly placed him on a trends blacklist, which prevented his tweets from trending. Gaslighting, right? No matter how many likes or retweets or whatever somebody would get, it would be deboosted. And this is somebody who had 0 strikes on their account and was a medical doctor. Or consider popular right-wing talk show host Dan Bongino, who at one point was slapped with a search blacklist. You see his account, notification spike. These yellow things are, I think, like negative suppression things, color-coded. So it is notification spike. I'm not sure what that is, but also search blacklist. 5, Twitter set the account of conservative activist Charlie Kirk to do not amplify. So they had a recent strike. They had notification spike. Again, I don't know. She doesn't say what that is. And do not amplify. This in 2 screenshots, both with Dan Bongino and with Charlie Kirk, prove that internal Twitter employees were manually suppressing conservative voices who did not break rules. This person had a strike count of 0. Charlie Kirk, strike count 0. Dan Bongino, strike count 0. These are people that did not break any rules, but were nonetheless suppressed anyway. Twitter denied that it did such things. In 2018, Twitter's Vijaya Gotti, the head of legal policy and trust, and Kayvon Beckpour, head of product, said, quote, "We do not shadow ban." They added, "And we certainly do not shadow ban based on political viewpoints or ideology. We now know that, as Maury Povich would say, that was a lie." 7, what many people call shadow banning, Twitter executives' employees called visibility filtering, or VF, multiple high-level sources confirm. So they're going to say, well, yeah, we didn't shadow ban because we visibility banned or filtered. It's the same thing. It's literally the exact same thing, just a different name. So they think that they're going to go and say that, hey, Jack lied before Congress, but he was telling the truth because they said shadow banning, but we don't call it that. We call it visibility filtering. VF refers to Twitter's control over user visibility. It used to block searches of individual users, to limit the scope of a particular tweet's discoverability, to block select users' posts from ever appearing on the trending page and from the inclusion of simple hashtag searches, all without the user's knowledge. Essentially, people thought they were taking crazy pills because they're like, well, I don't understand. Am I crazy? Nobody agrees with me. Well, we were all siloed. I guarantee my account is also on this list. We control visibility quite a bit. This is a quote. And we control the amplification of your content quite a bit. And normal people do not know how much we do, one Twitter engineer told us. 2 additional Twitter employees also confirmed this. The group that decided whether to limit the reach of certain users was the Strategic Response Team, Global Escalation Team, or the SRTGET. It often handled up to 200 users a day. But there existed a level even beyond official ticketing. Beyond the rank and file moderators following the company's policy on paper, there was the Site Integrity Policy Escalation Support, known as SIP-PES. This secret group included Head of Legal Policy Trust Vijaya Gadi, Global Head of Trust and Safety Yoel Roth, subsequent CEOs Jack Dorsey and Parag Agrawal, and others. Okay, this number 15 tweet, extra value mill number 15, this is what you talk about, what you refer to as the smoking gun. This is saying Jack Dorsey absolutely knew that these shenanigans were going on, and he pretended, and people pretended like he didn't. But he absolutely did. One of the accounts that rose to the level of scrutiny was Libs of TikTok, an account that was on the Trends blacklist and was designated as do not take action on user without consulting SIP-PES. Meaning, hey, nobody touched this account. They had it on the Trends blacklist. They had a strike, allegedly. They had notification spike. They were literally, I don't know how many people in there with giant salaries were literally obsessed with what the Libs of TikTok would post. Now, people are saying, oh, Twitter employees had access to our direct messages. They see the link to direct messages. I don't know why you would think they didn't. I don't agree that they should, but that's like saying somebody at Gmail can see. What do you mean someone at Gmail can see my emails? Of course, Twitter employees can see your DMs. Were you nuts? Did you think that wasn't the case? I don't understand that. Anyway, the account which Libs of TikTok began in November 2020 and now boasts over 1.4 million followers was subjected to 6 different suspensions in 2022 alone. Each time she was blocked for posting as long as a week. Twitter repeatedly informed the account owner that she had been suspended for, quote, violating Twitter's policy against, quote, hateful conduct. And here's where it gets good. But in an internal SIP-PES memo from October 2022, after her 7th suspension, the committee acknowledged that Libs of TikTok has not directly engaged in any behavior violative of the hateful conduct policy in writing. Again, what does this mean? That means that this group of people, which included Jack Dorsey, Parag Agrawal, Vijaya Gadi, and Yoel Roth, would ban accounts just because they wanted to, not because they had broken any of the site's policies. The committee justified her suspensions internally by claiming her posts encouraged online harassment of, quote, hospitals and medical providers by insinuating that gender-affirming healthcare is equivalent to being mean to kids. Compare this to what happened when Libs of TikTok herself was doxxed on November 21st, 2022. A photo of her home with her address was posted in a tweet that garnered more than 10,000 likes. When she told Twitter that her address had been disseminated, she says Twitter support responded with the message, reviewed the report content, and did not find it to be in violation of Twitter rules. Not only was no action taken, the doxing tweet is still up to this day. So it seems like Twitter employees wanted something bad to happen to her, didn't it? In internal Slack messages, Twitter employees spoke of using technicalities to restrict the visibility of tweets on subjects. Here's Yoel Roth, Twitter's global head of trust and safety, in a direct message to an early colleague. A lot of times, SI has used technicality spam enforcements as a way to solve a problem created by safety under enforcing their policies, which again isn't a problem per se, but it keeps us from addressing the root cause of the issue, which is that our safety policies need some attention. Again, this is doublespeak in saying that, well, they didn't actually break any rules, but we banned them anyway. 6 days later, In a direct message with the employee on health, misinformation, privacy, and identity research team, Roth requested more research to support expanding, quote, non-removal policy interventions like disabling engagements and de-amplifying visibility filtering, meaning I need more power even though this stuff doesn't break our rules. I still want to be able to pin down who I want to pin down. On the flip side of this, one wonders who they amplified artificially. Roth wrote the hypothesis underlying much of the information exposure directly causes harm. We should use remediations that reduce exposure, and limiting the spread of this content is a good way to do that. We got Jack, we got Jack on board with this, implementing this for civic integrity in the near term, election stuff. But we're going to need to make more of a robust case to get this into our repertoire for policy remediations, especially for other policy domains, meaning Jack Dorsey knew exactly what was going on. He was convinced of it. It seems like his employees were like just running roughshod over him. Barry then continues, the authors have broad and expanding access to Twitter files. The only condition we agreed to is the material will first be published on Twitter. And we're just getting started on our reporting. Documents cannot tell the whole story here. And Matt Taibbi is going to have the next installment. Again, we see one of the biggest loser grifters on the internet asking, here's a question for Elon and Barry Weiss. Were there any political candidates in the U.S. or elsewhere that were subject to shadow banning while they were running for office? Elon Musk responds, yes. This is outright election interference. Now, of course, the left-wing media is whining about reporters having access to the data. I don't care about that. Not one bit. Like, I have zero concern that Barry Weiss and Matt Taibbi have access to my DMs because it's for the greater good of exposing the truth. Liberals fume as Elon Musk gives independent journalist Barry Weiss unprecedented access to Twitter for files too. Again, don't care. Why are you DMing anything you don't want anyone to see anyway? Are you that dumb? Like, you really thought that Twitter employees up until now weren't reading your DMs? Child, please. Of course they are. Of course they are. What a massive day. We've got a report on Vijaya Gotti and Jack Dorsey, both looking like they're going to be in big trouble. Obviously, the lunatic for the White House luggage thief. We've got that story. I've got a story about Wonder Woman 3 falling apart and so much more today. Please, if you haven't yet, click that subscribe button down below. I would greatly appreciate it. And we'll talk to you again real soon, right after Christmas time in this video. Ho, ho, ho. Merry Christmas. All right, we have the 9th of December. The Skyrim Advent Calendar is making a nice comeback, and this one's actually pretty big. What's going on here? Oh, that's fun. Sort of. I mean, it's a cookie cutter with oatmeal raisin shortbread recipe card in it. Now, the cookie cutter is, yes, it is the Skyrim symbol, but it's also, it could have been like a dragon or something actually cool. I mean, yes, it's a Skyrim, but are people are just like, oh, it's a diamond. Still cool, and extra points for being Christmas themed. And the 9th is kind of around the time you want to be thinking about Christmas cookies. So, all right, good on you, Skyrim. Merry Christmas.